I didn't believe this was real at the time. How could you believe that, you're there for a family vacation and then all of a sudden you're losing access to your children? I'm their father. I raised them. I've been the primary caregiver for both of them. I didn't know, and I didn't believe that my rights as a parent, as a father, could mean nothing, which apparently they didn't mean anything to her or to the system at this point. I returned from Japan on November 5th, 2022. I did not contact the State Department right away because I didn't know they could do anything to assist. I was not aware that that was the type of thing that they got involved in. It wasn't until a friend of mine had suggested that I contact them that I looked into it. I reached out to the State Department on November 12th, 2022. At the time, I did not know what the government's stance was regarding the taking of a child by a parent. I sent them an email and I explained how my children were taken. The first question I ask is what she did considered kidnapping, and was there anything they could do to assist me? It's a government department, so they don't move fast. Plus, it was close to the holiday season of Thanksgiving. They replied to me on November 18th, 2022. Because this kind of issue is so prevalent with Japan, they actually have a country officer for Japan in the International Parental Child Abduction Office, otherwise known as the IPCA. We scheduled a phone call. What we had discussed is, because my children were born and raised in the US, I should have a good chance of getting them back. This is not usually the case for children that are born and raised in Japan, but my children were born and raised in the US. Also, one thing that had changed in, I want to say it was 2020 or 2021, was that the Supreme Court of Japan had added an enforcement mechanism if the case was won. Before that, even if you had won your case, the parent that took the children could just choose not to return, and there was nothing that could be done about it because there was no enforcement mechanism. The person that I talked to said he needed to get some documents together to be able to file the Hague application. I received the documents on 11/25. They were a little daunting to me. I looked them over. I didn't want to mess up the documents because I know that if I submit them incorrectly, there's a chance they could be denied or they get sent back to me and we have to start the process over again. I spent a week trying to find an attorney that could help me with this issue. Unfortunately, in Iowa, there's only one attorney that works on these kinds of issues, and from my understanding, she had a full caseload. After a week of looking for help, I gave up on trying to get help and spent the next few days filling out the paperwork. I sent the forms back on the 9th of December 2022. I had missed a few things, plus my driver's license didn't have the correct address, so I fixed the issues on the documents and went to get my driver's license updated. That whole process was completed on the 28th of December. Obviously, there was going to be some delays with the process because of the holiday season, so there were additional delays. At this point, I had been feeling better. I now knew that as far as The Hague was concerned, the children belonged back in the US, and I felt at this point it was just a matter of timing. I was of course still sad, I missed my children, but I thought I'd be getting them back soon, so I had some hope. Japanese Central Authority, known as the JCA, accepted my application on the 5th of January. On the 10th of January, I was informed that they would be sending a letter to my ex asking for the voluntary return of my children. I was also informed that they would be sending me a list of attorneys they recommend for fighting these cases in Japan. I received a list of attorneys on the 23rd of January. I will go over how I found my attorney in another video. My ex replied to the letter stating she would find a solution by speaking with me or by utilizing an alternate dispute resolution. She informed the JCA that we had a call scheduled, but that was not true, and I had informed her that. There was no call scheduled. She had not reached out to me regarding trying to resolve the issue peacefully. From this point forward, there's not really much else the State Department can do. For those asking what was the benefit from contacting the State Department, I can tell you that they did aid in moving the lawsuit along faster. The application was done and filed before my attorney in Japan had filed any cases or any of the paperwork. The JCA, as part of the Hague process, actually did a lot of the translation of my statements for free. And what my attorney tells me, the JCA was very responsive to her requests. Also, if I had not found another attorney another way, they at the very least did provide a good list of attorneys. This is considered kidnapping by failure to return. The children had returned tickets to come back to the US, and their mother had said they were returning, hence the failure to return part of the kidnapping. The State Department recommends contacting your local law enforcement if you wish to press charges. However, they do advise against pressing charges because if the abducting parent is facing arrest upon returning to the US, the court of the country that they took the children to may decide to not grant the return of the children, especially in a case like this where the other country, in this case Japan, does not consider this to be kidnapping. At this time, I have not filed any charges against my ex following the State Department's recommendation. I'm not sure if I still can file charges at this point because, as I stated before, I can't find an attorney in Iowa, so it's hard to find legal advice regarding this situation. The Japan IPCA still reaches out occasionally, asking if there's any updates on the case. I let them know the case is still in the Supreme Court, and it has been since March of 2024. It is the Supreme Court of Japan, so they don't exactly give us an exact date as to when they're going to return a verdict. I am hoping that because they're taking such a long time to render a verdict, that they are carefully reviewing and find in favor of me and return the children.